What's good, guys? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's discuss this somewhat decent episode of Monday Night Raw for June the 5th, 2023. So, like I said before, this was a decent episode of Monday Night Raw. It wasn't too bad, but we don't have a lot of meat on the bone this week. Triple H didn't give us a lot to nibble on this week. So, we kicked the show off with Seth Rollins once again. So, he comes out to a really good ovation, really good pop. He says his first week as champion was a non-stop party, but he wondered to himself, when was the last time the top title was defended on Raw? Nearly 2 years. Seth Rollins thought that was too damn long, so he tweeted an open challenge, and it was answered by the Judgment Day's Damian Priest. So fans begin to boo. Seth Rollins is kind of psyched about tonight's match. He goes on about being a fighting champion and says, regardless of what you think of them, everyone in the Judgment Day is that damn good. But tonight, Seth Rollins will show why they're not him. Seth Rollins goes on, but he's interrupted by Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Seth wonders where Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley are. Priest says they have business of their own to worry about, and that Rollins should worry about Priest only. Rollins cracks jokes on how close Priest and Balor are, which made me kind of freak out a little bit, especially when he mentioned them going to the bathroom. But, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. So, Balor interrupts and says Damian will win the title tonight. And then Priest gives some praise to Seth Rollins and says tonight he will not fail. Priest wants to make it clear he doesn't need any help from Balor, Dominic, or Rhea Ripley. So Seth Rollins then appreciates this. He appreciates the confidence, but he knows one-on-one Priest doesn't stand a chance. Rollins calls on Damian Priest to leave his crew in the back. And then Seth Rollins takes another jab at Balor on the mic. He angers Finn Balor. Balor says Rollins doesn't get to decide how this goes down. Priest interrupts Finn Balor and accepts the stipulation. Priest says at the end of the night he'll be champion, and Rollins will have just a short title reign. And then Seth Rollins dismisses this and says his reign is already longer than Balor's 24-hour reign. Seth Rollins laughs, and then he struts away. So, that's kind of okay, I guess, if we're being honest. But it is what it is. We know that Seth Rollins retained his title against Damian Priest. I'm guessing they're setting up a program between Rollins and Balor, presumably at Money in the Bank, more than likely. So just because we saw the little Judgment Day tease of a split, it's not going to happen. They're not going to split them up at all. It's just a little bit of dissension amongst cohorts. First match of the night, Becky Lynch versus Sonya Deville, Women's Money in the Bank qualifier. So Trish Stratus and Zoey Stark, they come out. They're on the ramp looking on, and they don't do anything at all. They don't even try to even stop Becky from winning. Chelsea Green does, but Becky Lynch is able to win via the manhandle slam for the 1, 2, 3. So it makes sense. They're only putting Becky in this spot because the women's Money in the Bank needs star power, and she's the only one that can do that right now. So that's why she's in that spot, if we're being honest. Let's just be honest. I don't think she'll even win Money in the Bank at all. I don't think they're even going to go that route, period. They'll probably have Io Sky win, more than likely, which I hope they do. I hope she's slated to win, and I would love to see Asuka versus Io in a really decent feud. So that should be interesting. But Becky Lynch wins, so, it doesn't matter. We got a segment with Byron Saxton. So he's backstage with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, asking about the bloodline. Sami won't say, I told you so, but it's good to see the Usos do what they should have done months ago. And now we have to just wait and see what Jey Uso does. So then Ludwig Kaiser interrupts, along with Gina Vinci, does show up. So Gina Vinci, he strikes me as the silent type for whatever reason on the main roster. I have no idea why, but he does. He's mute. I don't know why Triple H has him not speaking when he's able to cut somewhat decent promos when he was in NXT as Giovanni Vinci. So I kind of wish that, they would allow Giovanni Vinci to talk, because he can talk to an extent. Like, seriously, he's not a mute. Like, why are we doing this, Triple H? Like, why the fuck are we doing this shit? He's not mute. Get with the program. So, Kaiser and Vinci show up. Kaiser says the bloodline is not Sami and Kevin Owens' problem anymore. Imperium is their problem as long as they're champions. So Kevin Owens interrupts and taunts Imperium. So Gunther, he appears and says Kevin Owens has no discipline, which I agree with 10,000%. So Gunther says he'll show him some. Kevin Owens says if Gunther has a problem with how he is, they can meet in the ring and Gunther can get his ass kicked. So that leads us to Gunther versus Kevin Owens. But before we get there, we get a pretty lengthy promo video for Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, which was pretty decent. I enjoyed that. So this leads us into This leads us into Gunther versus Kevin Owens. Very solid match, very good match. I enjoyed it for the most part. In the end, Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, they got involved. They brawled with Kevin Owens for a little bit towards the end of the match. Kevin Owens stunned Ludwig Kaiser. That allowed Gunther to get the 1, 2, 3 via the dreaded, ultra devastating roll-up, which I despise because why? It's used entirely too much. I hate that finish. It's used way too much. Shoot, they might as well have that as a finish in 2K23, if we're being honest. Well, in WWE 2K23, let me be specific. That's kind of what they should do, because no one can kick out of that damn thing. A roll-up. Huh, what a joke. But this was fine. It kind of does make sense here, I guess. But my thing is, like, why are we rushing into this so quickly? But, it is what it is. It's nothing to really get upset about. It's a good match. It kills time. I mean, it's 3 hours, so why wouldn't you expect some decent matches out of a 3-hour show? Like, what? I mean, I knew this was going to happen anyway. Who knows? Maybe next week we might see Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Because I think what they're going to do with Gunther is probably have Matt Riddle be the one to dethrone Gunther. I think once Gunther surpasses Honky Tonk Man's record, then that's when they'll probably end up putting it on Matt Riddle. So I do expect them to have a feud and, have it take place at Money in the Bank for starters. Then we do the second match at SummerSlam. And then there should be a pay-per-view in September, which I think there is. And they'll probably do the rubber match at that. And that's when we'll have Matt Riddle be the one to dethrone Gunther. And then Gunther can be slated into the main event title scene with Seth Rollins, which is what they'll probably do. Even though I don't see Seth Rollins' title as main event material, which it's not, if we're being honest. But that's probably what they're going to slade Gunther in going forward. I know I've heard people online say, well, Triple H may have Gunther, 800 days like he was, in NXT UK. It's like, that's not the same thing. It doesn't matter. They're not going about it like that. It's not going to happen like that. What are you talking about? No. No. You're not going to have Gunther have that type of reign as IC champion, right? Even when he becomes the world champion, he's not going to have like an 800-day reign. Are you insane? No. Moving on. Because right now I'm just rambling. So, I forgot to mention post-match, Gunther yells at Kevin Owens about respect. So this probably isn't over. They'll probably run this back eventually. Moving on. So, Kathy Kelly, she's backstage with Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle is tired of seeing Gunther cheat every single week. And he wouldn't be champion if it weren't for Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. So Kaiser and Vinci, they show up. Kaiser demands respect for the ring general. So this leads to some words and swearing between Kaiser and Riddle. Riddle drops Kaiser and locks in an ankle lock onto Giovanni Vinci. And then officials separate Matt Riddle. So this is great. I love this real serious side of Matt Riddle. This is a side of Matt Riddle that we should have been got, and this is a side that he needs to stay in. This is a gear that I can get with. This was great. If we keep Matt Riddle on this track, I'm all the way down for it. 1,000%. Triple H, keep your foot on the gas and keep moving forward. Don't let up. This is some good shit right here. This is what Matt Riddle needs. Matt Riddle needs to be taken seriously. This is a great way to do it. Continue to have Matt Riddle be like this, and you can have a star. You can and will have a star. If you keep Matt Riddle like this, he's going places. And I could even see him being world champion. And I'm not even going to hold you up. If you keep him in this serious state right here, and you don't veer to the left or right, this guy's going to be money. And it's great. So this is great. Definitely keep Matt Riddle on this track going forward. Next, we see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So the champs are backstage with Byron Saxton. And he asked what it meant to win gold together. So Shayna Baszler says this was their destiny manifested more than 10 years ago while they were still fighting in the octagon. So Ronda Rousey says it's past time they legitimize these titles and no longer will they be an afterthought. she invites any team with figurative balls to take them on. So KC Squared, they show up. They say if the champs are looking for a challenge, then the life of the party is here. They introduce themselves and say they come to Raw to make a statement. And what better way to debut against the two of the baddest? Rhonda asks Shayna if they landed in Munchkin Land because Connecticut is bad enough. So Rhonda comments on their stupidity, but Baszler asks if it's ignorance or bravery. Shayna Baszler says the sound of their tendons and ligaments ripping apart will take care of any bravery. Rhonda ends up saying she will see them in the ring. And this leads us into the match, which was very solid. So, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Katana Chance and Kate Carter. KC Squared. Very good match. Solid match here. I enjoyed it. Ronda and Shayna sold very well for KC Squared. They sold very well in the match for both of them. Really good spots from KC Squared. In the end, Shayna Baszler gets the win via the Karafuda clutch. And KC Squared tapped out. So that makes a lot of sense. This kind of was the right decision. They're really the only actual legit team, women's tag team in WWE, if we're being honest. They've been together for years. I was kind of shocked when KC Squared came out that they didn't have their little gun that they shoot confetti and stuff in the air or what have you, like they used to in NXT. I don't know why they got rid of that for the main roster, but I kind of wish they would add that back to it. I hope they, have that. But this was a really good, solid match. I'm guessing with this tag division, I'm guessing they're gonna still build Ronda and Shayna versus the Unholy Union, which is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. So they're probably going to build towards that. I don't know when that'll take place. It could take place at Money in the Bank. It could take place at SummerSlam. We don't know. I'm hoping it takes place at Money in the Bank, if we're being honest. But, I don't think that Ronda and Shayna, that they're going to legitimize the tag titles. Like, to me, they're worth having, but they can't legitimize them, if we're being honest. There's no way they can. It's like they've been too tainted. We know the real reason why they got them. It was via feminism, because Sasha and Bayley were complaining they wanted to be like the men. They wanted to have everything like the men. So WWE caved in and gave into their little demands. So they gave them the tag titles, and now here we are a few years later. So there is that. Moving on. So Ricochet, he's backstage warming up, getting ready for his match with Shinsuke Nakamura for whatever reason. I don't know why we're having babyface versus babyface. So Bronson Reed, he approaches Ricochet. Bronson Reed says someone must like Ricochet because he has a spot in Money in the Bank. And after Reed dominated him 2 weeks ago, Ricochet says he earned his spot while Bronson Reed lost his qualifier. Bronson Reed says he dominated Shinsuke Nakamura. So Nakamura shows up and says until he beat Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed says Shinsuke Nakamura got him on a bad night, and they both know next time will be different. So then Bronson Reed then walks off. Ricochet gives Nakamura some pointers. Some props, but says tonight and Money in the Bank, he's not giving Nakamura anything except a big L. Ricochet laughs, and Nakamura calls on Ricochet to prove it in the ring. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Not really all that important. What also was not important, which we also know that Triple H is booking this show, which is Johnny Gargano. So, Johnny Gargano had a vignette where the video looks at his journey from NXT to Raw. Who cares? And how people see him as the underdog, but he has something that can't be measured. He was told there wasn't a place for him in NXT at his tryout, but 5 years later, he was the face of the brand, and now he's a staple of Raw. He thrives when underestimated, and his story is just getting started. It's like, can we stop this shit? Can we stop this? And you know what? Now that I saw this vignette, I'm going to change my mind on Matt Riddle winning the IC title. I wouldn't be shocked if Johnny Gargano wins. I think that's what they're going to end up doing anyway. Oh my God. Oof. I guarantee you Triple H will probably do Johnny Gargano versus Gunther. And Johnny Gargano will be the one to dethrone Gunther. Guarantee you that. I would not be shocked. That's going to happen. I just want to put it out there in the universe. It's going to happen. So we might see Johnny Gargano versus Gunther at SummerSlam. Just saying it now. I guarantee that's what they're probably going to do. So let's lead this into Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. It's a no contest because Bronson Reed gets involved. He beats down both Ricochet and Nakamura via the Tsunami Splash. So the fans wanted him to do the Tsunami Splash one more time, but he's like, nah, fuck that, I'm out. So this leads us into our next segment, which is Imperium, about how they defeated Alpha Academy last week. No, my bad. We see how Alpha Academy was defeated by Imperium last week. So Maxine Dupree mixed it up with Valhalla. So this leads us into the segment for the week. This week's segment involving Alpha Academy. So Maxine Dupree, she's backstage with Chad Gable and Otis now. So Gable says Maxine briefly argued over how to say Otis's name, and Otis says it doesn't matter. So Chad Gable says Otis is the reason they came together. Chad Gable also says an alpha doesn't run from a fight, referring to Valhalla. And Otis mentions how they'll take down the Viking Raiders with deodorant. I'm like, what the hell? Some comedic shit. I'm like, what the hell? We know Vince wrote this shit. Damn it, pal, this is such good shit right here. Otis says Gable will teach Maxine how to take on Valhalla. Gable says she can't train dressed like that, but she says she has the perfect attire in her locker room. Okay. All right. And I guess we'll get that next week. So I guess we'll see the in-ring debut of Maxine Dupree next week, more than likely, which should be interesting. So, I like decent comedy. So this is okay little comedy here. Moving on. Cody Rhodes. He's up next. So, Miz comes out. He says he knew he had to get a very special guest for the night when he heard of the main event. So, Miz introduces Cody Rhodes. Comes out to a big pop. Cody gets his pyro as usual. And then he receives a huge Cody chant. So, Miz says Cody looks dashing tonight. That was good. Miz brings up how Cody challenged Brock last week and asked if that's kind of stupid considering the broken arm and how Night of Champions went. Cody says Mike, and then Miz says in this ring he's the Miz, nothing else. So fans chant Mike. Cody says some have said his challenge took balls, which Miz knows a tiny bit about. So then a tiny balls chant breaks out for whatever reason. I wish they would stop that shit. Cody says Lesnar is on his annual hibernation, so we won't be seeing him. Miz says we like drama on Miz TV, so he has a surprise for Cody tonight. Miz introduces who he says the hottest WWE star right now, that being Dominic. So Dom comes out along with Rhea Ripley. So fans chant "You suck." Miz speaks, but Rhea hushes him and says Dom has something to say. Boos keep getting louder. Miz yells at the fans to show some respect to Dom. Cody chimes in for a laugh. Rhea yells at them to let her Latino heat speak. Dom goes on and says someone who's been in prison for 15 minutes and has done hard time like him. Cody is just a little birdie with a broken wing. Dominic says he realized Cody also had a bad dad like his own father. He's also a bad dad like his own father because he's not at home with his baby. Cody takes shots at Dominic. How he was whipped by his dad at WrestleMania. Cody has an immense respect for Rey Mysterio, but he knows that he makes mistakes like Dom. So then Dominic and Rhea turn to leave. Cody also turns his back. And then Dominic slaps Cody. And then Cody goes for Dom, but Rhea gets in the way, and they taunt Cody. So then Dom and Rhea, they leave, still taunting Cody. And then Cody drops the Miz with a shot from his cast. So that segment was a waste of time. I don't even know why they even had the segment. It was kind of dumb. I'm guessing this is setting up for the final Money in the Bank qualifier for the men, where it's going to probably be Dom versus Cody, which Cody more than likely needs to win. And we add some legit star power into Money in the Bank for the men. And I think that's where we're going to see this going. This leads us into Zoey Stark versus Natalya, women's Money in the Bank qualifier. Zoey Stark wins. Yay. Great. Who cares? It does not matter. Natalya, again, TJ, my man, please knock her up. For real. She needs to be knocked up. Like ASAP. Knock her up or adopt a child or something. Whatever you gotta do, my man. But get Natalya the hell off my television. Please. And thank you, TJ. Thank you kindly. So Paul Heyman, he's backstage. He invites us all to SmackDown this week as Jey Uso will make his historic choice. Paul Heyman goes on about how part of his job is to deliver bad news to the tribal chief. And this is one of those times when the news is not pleasant, as it will upend the entire Fatu and Hawaii dynasty, because this Friday, Jay will make his choice, and he will choose to stand by his brother Solo. Heyman says, you can share a womb with your twin brother, but you'll never be as close in life to him than you are your tribal chief. Heyman goes on and says, Jay will acknowledge the fact on Friday. Will acknowledge that fact on Friday or else. Okay. Interesting. Can't wait for it. Next, this leads us into Indus Sher versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. So Indus Sher, they attack both Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander out of nowhere. And then Cedric gets hit by a double team leg drop. And then the referee calls for the bell, and then they do it again. So there was that. Again, I don't understand what the point of this is. It doesn't make sense at all. What are they doing with Indus Sher? What are they doing? Again, if they had trios championships, then this could be fine. But what are they really doing? Like, I don't know what they're going to do long term. I don't even know what they're going to even do in the short term. Are they trying to build them up as credible threats to take on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in due time? We don't know. So this leads us into the main event, Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins wins via the stomp. Towards the end of the match, Finn Balor comes out to get involved. Him and Priest have a little stare down, but Rollins wins via the stomp. This is a very solid television main event, title main event. And then Rollins and Finn Balor have a little stare down, and then that was it. So that was Monday Night Raw. It was, like I said, okay. I'm guessing they're setting up Balor versus Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. They'll probably go that. That's more of a safer route. I've also heard people say that there could be a triple threat match, which they don't need to do because I hate multi-man matches. I really do. I despise them because they're way too overdone, especially in NXT. So we don't need to do that. I'm guessing, like I said, this will lead to Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. I don't think there's really any real tension between Balor and Damian Priest. I don't. Maybe they have a match between the two next week to see who's going to face Seth Rollins. They'll probably end up doing that, which kind of makes sense. They're not going to break up Judgment Day at all. Like, Judgment Day is not going to be broken up at all. So you can forget that. Overall, like I said before, the show was okay. What did you guys think? Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.